When a car reaches the end of its life, it most likely ends up in a junkyard. Piles of wreckage, all waiting to be disassembled just to see if any of it can be used again. In the world of the Transformers, the wrecks of Cybertronians might end up discarded on an entire junkyard planet, Junkion.
New spaceship destroyed by Decepticon fire. Springer, the toughest of the Autobot triple changers, crash lands on planet Junkion.
Hurry, hurry! Operators are standing by! No welcome waiting fellow stranger! The Transformers for the deep.
I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one, or purchase some merch on my Spring store today. As seen in Transformers the movie, the Autobots crash-landed onto the planet of junk.
Remind me to give the autopilot a raise.
Also known as Junkion, it was clearly the junk capital of the universe. Its inhabitants, the Junkions, are a nomadic and territorial tribe of Cybertronians that resemble the vicious motorcycle gangs from the Mad Max films. While many of the Junkions had unique character designs, only one of them, the Junkion leader, Wreck-Gar, was made into a toy in 1986, with his name being a portmanteau of wreckage and garbage. Wreck-Gar was designed using an early character model from artist Floro Derry, though his finished character design was a bit more streamlined for animation. In his bio, as written by Bob Budiansky, Wreck-Gar is the scatterbrain leader of the Junkions. Made from rusted scraps, chassis bits, manifold parts, and dented odds and ends, he speaks in odd rhyming, pieced-together sentences that are a junkyard collection of broadcast fragments from TV commercials and radio jingles. After witnessing the Decepticons attack the Autobots, resulting in Ultra Magnus losing the Matrix to Galvatron,
Unicron, my master. With this, I shall make you my slave.
Wreck-Gar led a Road Warrior-styled attack on the Autobots, believing that they were thieves. The film famously used Weird Al Yankovic's song Dare to Be Stupid to show how crazy the Junkions could be. While the Autobots tried to fight back, the Junkions displayed how resilient they were, as they can easily put themselves back together.
It's not hard to knock them down. It's getting them to stay down that's the trick.
Wreck-Gar even battled against the Autobot triple changer Springer, until Hot Rod, Cup, and the Dinobots arrived on Junkion with a stolen Quintesson ship.
Steady as she goes, Bob. Snoopy visitors get under the eye by and by. Film it.
Using the universal greeting,
Ba weep grana, weep nitty bong.
Oh, weep, grana, weep, ninny bong.
Ba weep grana, weep nitty bong.
Hot Rod convinced Wreck-Gar that the Autobots were friends. Voiced by Monty Python actor Eric Idle, Wreck-Gar spoke TV.
Where'd you learn to talk like that?
TV. We talk TV. You talk some TV.
And ordered the Junkions to rebuild Ultra Magnus. To help the Autobots reclaim the Matrix, the Junkions volunteered to destroy Unicron aboard their ship. During production of the film, the entire planet of Junkion was initially going to be the ship that the Junkions used to attack Unicron with. Instead, the Junkions boarded their own ship buried under the rubble. This would have explained Wreck-Gar's line about the ship itself.
New improved Junkion planet is slim, sexy import with turbo handling.
While it was subsequently crushed and destroyed by the Chaos Bringer, Wreck-Gar, the Junkions, Ultra Magnus, and Perceptor survived the battle after Unicron was destroyed. In Season 3, Wreck-Gar and the Junkions had returned to their homeworld, being considered Autobots by their alliance. While continuing the TV talk of Eric Idle, Tony Pope took over the voicing role of Wreck-Gar,
Remember, boys and girls, best day to get your ways be good, say hey!
who saved the Autobots stranded on the planet Goo. Using a little Junkion ingenuity, Wreck-Gar also had Springer reassembled after his encounter with a garbage collector on Goo.
What happened?
For the rest of Season 3, Wreck-Gar was usually the only Junkion to assist the Autobots during battles against the Decepticons and the Quintessons.
Hurry, hurry, seal, it's for a limited time. Good as new with easy terms.
However, many of the other Junkions were seen enjoying mass quantities of TV in the episode The Big Broadcast of 2006. Alongside Wreck-Gar was a Junkion lady, whose animation model was a reuse of one of the inhabitants of the planet Lithon. This further cemented the idea that both the Lithonians and the Junkions were Cybertronians. But that is a discussion for another day. While she wasn't named in the cartoon episode, several Japanese guidebooks gave the female Junkion the name Nancy, after the US First Lady. Voiced by Joy Gridnick, Nancy could instantly pull herself back together after being attacked.
I'm bad, and I'm beautiful.
Baby, you're the greatest!
Trying to retrieve one of their lost journals, the Quintessons used subliminal messages to brainwash the Junkions as they became hostile towards everyone.
Fly somebody else's friendly skies.
However, the Junkions in turn broadcasted this signal across the galaxy.
We are controlling transmission. We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. We got the touch.
Causing many nearby worlds to war with one another, leading to a huge battle above Junkion.
A scrapyard. What an appropriate place for you to meet your end, RodimusPrimal.
You're the one who'll be junk, Galvatron.
Using Omega Supreme for altitude, Ultra Magnus and Blaster used a transmission that blocked the subliminal message. Galvatron then blasted the message at its source. While the Junkions and the various worlds stopped fighting, Galvatron still wanted a piece of Rodimus Prime.
However, that doesn't mean I don't really hate you, Rodimus. I do. Go ahead, make my day.
Of course, the Autobots and the Junkions outnumbered the Decepticons, leading Galvatron to retreat. When a hate plague began spreading throughout the galaxy, Rodimus Prime hoped that Wreck-Gar would have been able to revive Optimus Prime.
Wreck-Gar, any hope the Junkions can repair him?
He's dead, Jimmy.
Unfortunately, an infected Ultra Magnus infected both Wreck-Gar and Rodimus Prime with the hate plague.
I'm a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Only to be cured when a revived Optimus Prime emptied the power of the Matrix.
The wisdom of the ages. It's lost. No, not lost. We're all a little wiser now.
While he didn't appear in the US series finale, The Rebirth, Wreck-Gar made a brief cameo in the Japanese exclusive series, The Headmasters. Despite being regularly used in the cartoon, Wreck-Gar and the Junkions were mostly absent from the US Marvel Comics. The exceptions, of course, being the comics adaptation of Transformers the movie, and issue 43's use of the cartoon episode The Big Broadcast of 2006 as a filler story. Their absence from the US run allowed writer Simon Furman to tell stories of the movie's cast in an alternate future timeline. Like his season 3 counterpart, Wreck-Gar still spoke in TV and pop culture references, though in a more British variety, as he helped Rodimus Prime battle against the Decepticons led by Shockwave. To help stop a time-traveling Galvatron and the merciless bounty hunter Death's Head, Wreck-Gar followed Rodimus Prime through a time machine, sending them back to Earth in the year 1987. Finding the remains of Death's Head's first victim, Wreck-Gar rebuilt Bumblebee with a 90-day warranty as Goldbug. As they team up to stop Galvatron, Wreck-Gar overrode the time jump device, which sent Death's Head, Rodimus Prime, Blur, Cup, and Wreck-Gar back to their present year of 2007. After continuing to help the Autobots, Rodimus Prime sent Inferno and Smokescreen to escort Wreck-Gar back to Junkion. Unfortunately, when they arrived, they found that the planet was taken over by Unicron, whose head crash-landed on the planet. Using his dark powers, Unicron had enslaved the rest of the Junkions in effort to use the planet's collection of junk to rebuild the Chaos Bringer's body. With the help of Rodimus Prime, in addition to surviving the wrath of Death's Head, Wreck-Gar planted explosives underneath Unicron's head and shoulders. Although they had destroyed the remains of Unicron, his essence lived on, trapped within the Matrix of Leadership. Wreck-Gar was captured by the Quintessons after he had come into possession of a Quintesson journal. To save his own neck, he told his captors the tale of the big broadcast of 2006. This did not sit well with the Quintessons, who fed Wreck-Gar to the Sharkticons. Before the Junkion leader could be eaten alive, Wheelie came to his rescue, and the two of them used the Quintesson Journal to broadcast the evil that the five-faced slime of the nebula had done. This instantly turned the Quintessons into enemies of everyone in the universe, and not just the Transformers. After G1 ended, Wreck-Gar and the Junkions were largely forgotten about until the turn of the 21st century. The Dreamwave comics for the first time gave an origin to the planet of junk and its inhabitants. Early tests and failures for space bridge technology created a dumping ground for Cybertronian waste. The war between the Autobots and Decepticons meant that sometimes still living Cybertronians were dumped through the space bridge. Using whatever parts they had available to them, these discarded Transformers rebuilt themselves over time, dubbing themselves as Junkions. With TV broadcasts somehow making it to the planet from Earth, the Junkions formed their own territorial society with Wreck-Gar as their leader. Finding Megatron badly damaged in deep space, Wreck-Gar rebuilt him, not knowing that the Decepticon leader would eventually betray and kill him. The first new Junkion toy following Wreck-Gar's original G1 toy was a redeco of Hound known as Detritus. His bio states that, as a Junkion, he can easily repair himself, but he has abandoned his home world in favor of serving his own selfish desires as a mercenary. According to the Transformers United story pages, Detritus was rebuilt by the Decepticons into Roadmaster, a power core combiner who merged with 4 Destructicon drones to battle against the Autobots. A new incarnation of Wreck-Gar was introduced in Transformers Animated in the episode Garbage In, Garbage Out. Activated on a garbage scowl by the power of Sorry Sumdak's Allspark key, a new Transformer emerged, not knowing who or what he was. Believing he was there to help, the robot assisted the angry Archer as he called himself a worthless wreck walking pile of garbage.
Really? Bit of a mouthful. Perhaps we should just call you Wreck-Gar for short.
While the showrunners initially tried to get Eric Idle to reprise his role as Wreck-Gar, he was unfortunately unavailable at the time. Instead, the role went to singer Weird Al Yankovic.
I am Wreck-Gar! I am some new kind of Autobot!
Which led to the zany nature of the character.
I am Wreck-Gar! I am only good for one thing. Garbage!
He even used the now famous universal greeting. Now transforming into a garbage truck, Wreck-Gar didn't know if he was Autobot or Decepticon, as he spread garbage around Detroit. Ratchet convinced Wreck-Gar to be whatever he wanted to be, which convinced him to be a hero, as he used a vacuum cleaner to suck up all of Powell's nanobots. When they exploded, Wreck-Gar was stuck at the bottom of the lake, swimming with the fishes.
Fear not, fellow creatures of the deep. I am Wreck-Gar. I am a hero.
Eventually emerging from the lake, Wreck-Gar continued to play hero by helping Sorry, along with Scavenger and Snarl, as substitute Autobots. Facing off against Soundwave, they saved the Autobots just in time for Christmas. Wishing to spread holiday cheer, Wreck-Gar was last seen playing Santa, giving garbage to all the good little boys and girls. Despite only appearing briefly in Transformers Animated,
Everyone's a critic.
Wreck-Gar's popular return saw a new toy of his G1 incarnation as part of the Reveal the Shield toy line in 2011. Transforming into an off-road motorcycle once again, Wreck-Gar was also redecoed into a more cartoon-accurate color scheme in Japan as part of the Transformers United toy line. Up until this point, except for Nancy and Detritus, the other Junkions remained nameless for years despite having distinct-looking robot modes.
That's the name of that tune.
The Transformers character design book, The Complete Arc, named several of the Junkions, even naming their ship seen in the film as the Minnow.
Live from New York, it's Yard!
In addition, 2 of the individual Junkions were released as retools of Reveal the Shield Wreck-Gar, sporting new heads under the names Scrap Heap and Junk Heap. While these have been the only versions of other Junkions, all 3 molds of the toy were redecoed into their shattered glass counterparts as BotCon exclusives in 2013. In the tie-in comic, Ultra Magnus unleashed Wreck-Gar to use his abilities to turn unsuspecting Cybertronians into Junkion slaves. In the aligned continuity, as told in the Exiles novel, the planet Junkion had similar origins to the Dreamwave comics. Upon meeting Optimus Prime, Wreck-Gar and the Junkions befriended the Autobots and assisted in their quest for the Allspark. This must have blacklisted them, as Wreck-Gar made his only on-screen appearance as one of the many Autobots banished by the Council in 2015's Robots in Disguise.
I don't know. I was a victim of circumstance.
While he certainly wasn't a Junkion himself, the rescue bot Salvage transformed into a garbage recycling truck. Wreck-Gar's alternate mode of a motorcycle contributed to him receiving new toys in both the Combiner Wars and Power of the Prime's toy lines, both of which were retools of the Protectobot groove. In similar fashion to the Dreamwave comics, Megatron ended up banished on the planet Junkion during the early days of the war, only to obliterate any who stood before him in the IDW comics. At some point after Megatron had returned to lead the Decepticons, a large battle took place on Junkion between a squad of Autobots led by Prowl and a team of Decepticons led by Shockwave. Their battle led to the planet being shattered to pieces. Wreck-Gar led the Junkions and their Sharkticon slaves in a corkscrew starship for many years in search of an energon mineral known as Ore-13 to revive their home world. This led to the Junkion ship crash landing on Earth in 2017, since the planet was an abundance of Ore-13 supplies. Wreck-Gar and his consort, the stoic and serious Rum-Maj, bartered with Optimus Prime in exchange of a positron core, which could have been used to revive a comatose Sideswipe. As negotiations fell through, Wreck-Gar attempted to escape with the core before running into RC. This unfortunately led to the core's destruction, which left Wreck-Gar without a body and led to Sideswipe eventually dying. To make it up to the Junkions, Optimus Prime built a place for them to live on Earth, known as Little Cybertron, where Wreck-Gar could be carried around by Rum-Maj to live in peace. Rum-Maj and Wreck-Gar also rode their Sharkticons into battle to help the Autobots put a stop to the threat of Unicron. While the live-action films chose not to include the Junkions, much of their attributes seem to be used quite frequently. Instead of talking TV, the live-action version of Bumblebee uses clips from radio broadcasts as his method of speech.
Can you talk?
XM satellite radio. Digital cable brings you
Broadcasting. You talk to the radio?
In Dark of the Moon, an unnamed Decepticon took an alternate mode of a waste management garbage truck. A few of the KSI-created Decepticons, seen in Age of Extinction, also took on the same garbage truck alternate modes, with a single toy released under the name Junk Heap. In The Last Night, Bumblebee was able to be blown to pieces and could reassemble himself, much like the Junkion Nancy.
Next time you shoot somebody, don't go near them till you're sure they're dead.
Finally, the Autobots hid themselves in a junkyard, where a Junkion-like scavenging merchant Cybertronian named Day Trader tried selling the Autobots a new voice box for Bumblebee. Voiced by Steve Buscemi, the banter between Day Trader and Hound,
Carbon monoxide and perhaps a small gasoline drinking problem are going to kill you long before a bullet, my corpulent comrade.
Back off. Get out of my face. You want to throw down with Hound?
draws a lot of similarities to the Big Lebowski.
Pete on the dude's rug.
Donnie, you're out of your element, dude.
With the celebration of Transformers the movie's 35th anniversary, the Transformers Studio Series line expanded to celebrate the franchise's first time on the silver screen in 1986. As such, Wreck-Gar received his most accurate figure in 2021.
Have a nice day, and please pose cover before striking, friends. Weep fit for Ruthie, so say the Junkions.
Since Wreck-Gar is able to ride himself in motorcycle mode with a second figure, sold separately, one has to wonder if the other Junkions could possibly see new figures as well.
Offer expires while you wait. Operators are standing by.
But what do you think? Should the other Junkions get new figures? And do you want to see Wreck-Gar and the Junkions show up in more Transformers media?
Kick high, be a winner, 2, 3, 4. I'm a winner, I'm a winner. I believe in me.
Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you like this retrospective of Wreck-Gar and the Junkions, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
And the answer is Unicron.
Then we've got to destroy Unicron.
Yes, friends, act now, destroy Unicron. Kill the Grand Poobah. Eliminate even the toughest stain.